Hello, everybody. Can you hear me all right? I am in a hotel room with mysterious lighting. It's welcome to Government Secrets. I know it's 11 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is 7 o'clock at night in Lisbon, Portugal. How do I know I'm in Portugal? Because the Pepsi Max that I'm drinking right now, because I'm in bone-crushing jet lag, says Portugal on it, and it says Pepsi Max Maximo Sabor Zero Açúcar. Because I don't normally drink sodas like this, but I have some crazy jet lag. So let's hope in the middle of the show I don't just go, "That's great, Lee," and just fall asleep. But it could happen. Oh man. But we're doing the show no matter what, folks. This is going to happen. I've literally flown across the globe. I'm covered 11 time zones to get here. So hello, everybody. I know Graham does not smoke, but he looks kind of stoned. Thank you. Yes, this is a nice haircut. Backyard Politics and Holly are our moderators. Hello, everybody in the chat. Good to see you. Welcome to Government Secrets. Like, share, subscribe, folks. Send this out on your social media. That always helps. And all of those analytic things very much help the show. And everybody watching over on the Rock, hello. Leftover beefcake coming through loud and clear here in the high seas. Yes. In an undisclosed location. Captain of the USS Zumwalt. That's leftover beefcake's job. He's doing a fine job. Boy, the way this lighting is, my nose looks like it's like bright red, like I've been soaking it in whiskey. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not goof around anymore, because within 4 minutes when the show's over, I'm going to collapse and fall asleep, but I'm going to do the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the two most censored comedians, Lee Camp and Graham Elwood, on Government Secrets episode 99. Here's Lee Camp.
Hey, man.
What's up, buddy?
Like we seem more censored when you're doing it from like a bunker with a cave light on, like a little fireside light.
I don't know what to do. Like, here's my choices. I'm in the smallest hotel. Maybe is that a little better? I can't decide which is better.
Tough to say. Depends on how much people want to see of you.
Well, we should show them the shoebox hotel room that I'm in and what life on the road is like. How we make this show happen. There's these two little beds that are for like twin 5-year-olds, I guess. And then this is how you got to do stuff. All right. So I have an adapter that's going in to plug the computer. So that's not precarious at all. Literally, because I'm on the road for like a month. My suitcases,
suitcase exploded.
Suitcase is completely exploded.
That's what happens when you pack green juice and you go into high altitude in a plane.
Oh, you're gonna love what I packed. So
let me guess. You have nunchucks that go under your pillow, because otherwise you won't feel at home.
I have travel chucks. I always have travel chucks.
Travel size chucks. They're just like this big. They're like, ah! It's like fucking like a ballpoint pen with dental floss tied between them.
I was going to say that they collapse and then they become bigger, but I like your theory that I use little ones as though I'm a G.I. Joe character. And yet somehow I still think they're very deadly. They're very deadly.
I would love the moment when you're first trying to seem threatening. Like the guy shows up at your door and you're like, "Are you ready for this?" And you pull out your...
You want to taste? Yeah.
No. This is why I was like,
and then you swing it into his nose and he's like, "Ow, that stings."
Stop. Ow, it's like throwing a Q-tip at me really hard. That's not fun. That's really hurtful. So as I'm going through the airport and I'm seeing everybody with these literally, and I've traveled for a living. You know, I've traveled probably, I haven't flown at least probably 1.5 million miles. So and I'm watching everybody with these tight, compact little suitcases, and I'm like, I got to rework something because I'm well. Here's what I brought.
What is that? Vegan protein.
Yes, it's vegan protein powder. It's huge. It's the size of my head. So
Jesus. And they do not sell this in other countries, or you'd end up having to travel 3 hours by train to go get it.
Yeah, that would be it. I would have to travel 3 hours by train to get it. So I just literally brought all my supplements. It's just insane. Like I'm a crazy person. Like this is just.
Graham, have you ever stopped and thought maybe you don't have to supplement yourself? We love you for who you are.
Yeah, this is a cry for help. I mean, this is absolutely.
You clearly spend a lot of time saying to yourself, "You're not enough. I'm just not enough."
You need to bring a whole year supply of flaxseed pills. That's what you need to bring because you're not. I don't know what happened. I think it's the no traveling for COVID has turned me into a crazy person now that I travel. I'm just worried that like there's going to be a supply chain issue and I'm just going to be stuck somewhere in some train station.
Stuck somewhere without flaxseed. And we all know what happens almost instantly. You go an hour over flaxseed time and just hair starts, waist length hair starts growing out of your nose.
It's like the Nazis in Indiana Jones when they touch the Holy Grail, their face just goes and melts. Yeah.
You go 10 minutes over flaxseed time and it just all melts off. Just all melts away.
I think I've been living alone too long. Like I literally have nobody. And I think COVID made me go insane. And now I'm traveling just like a crazy man who's been in a cave.
I can help you save a little room in that bag. You can defend yourself with that protein bottle. You don't need the nunchucks. You could easily knock a man out with that protein bottle. Protein canister defense training is crucial for every traveler.
I'm sure everybody travels with a Costco-sized thing of turmeric. I'm sure you travel with that. We all travel with that. Everybody travels with that.
Dude, it makes me wonder how I'm still alive, considering I eat none of these things. I'm vegetarian, but I don't have all the supplements. I just stumble around like a fucking moron, just eating things I find.
I mean, if you don't have a 6-month supply of turmeric in your bag, I don't know what you're doing, Lee. I mean, you might as well just like you're a ticking time bomb at that point. I don't know how you.
I don't even know what turmeric does. I don't know where it comes from. Is it from guano? Is it straight from bat dung? Do I have that right? It's like grated up bat dung, right?
Yeah, and I have my own bat farm, so because I'm so into Batman, I live in a bat cave, so I harvest my own bat dung.
That's something they don't talk about in the Batman movies. Is the amount of guano is intense. It is intense. He's a lot of guano shoveling goes on.
I'm telling you, dude. I think if I didn't have this show, I wouldn't know how crazy I am. You know what I'm saying?
If you didn't have someone mocking you every week.
If you had somebody go, wait, you sleep with nunchucks by your bed? So wait, I'm sorry, what? You know, it's like I've created such a crazy world that's just mine, and COVID made it like way more isolated that I like. Eventually, I'm gonna date someone, and some girlfriend's gonna come into my place and go, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Right. Some woman's gonna slowly like what? Wait, there's a weapon under your pillow. Wait, why? We're just going away for a day. Why do you need 16 pounds of canisters?
Why do you have a mobile bunker? Like, why are you traveling with this?
And you're just like, you never know. You never know. It could all break down tomorrow. That's what girls like to hear on first dates, is a lot of "you never know." That always wins them over.
Well, if you're not prepared, you might as well just blow your head off. If that's how you want to live life, just like you might as well put gasoline on yourself.
This woman in the chat says MILFs carry snacks in their purse. So hot women with kids always have snacks, is what we're that. So even if you don't have your turmeric, Graham, as long as you date a MILF, you will survive.
Oh God, I am going out of my mind. I literally am going crazy. And
so going through luggage, I guess you checked the bag. I was gonna say, were they like, no one needs this much turmeric for 3 days? Clearly, you're up to something. Like, what kind of drugs do you have in this canister?
There's, I think every time, they open my bag when I was, fly through the USA, I always get one of those TSA slips of paper that says we basically opened your bag. And I think they always open my bag up, and they're like Googling, like, can you make a bomb out of turmeric, flaxseed, and powder? Like, is this guy, what does he need all of these things for?
Let's just say a lot of drug dogs have almost OD'd on turmeric after going through Graham's bag. A lot of drug dogs got fucked up, man. Dude,
oh God.
You're a canine and you snort that much plant protein. It's not good for you.
Oh, they just go bananas. Like, that's basically the turmeric just throws the scent off the drug dogs so that I can make a vegan super bomb is what I'm trying to do. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm coming back from this trip. I think I'm just gonna be out
wandering Europe, just saying this. It could all happen tomorrow, folks.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Just oh God. So thank you everybody for watching and listening.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And for those who don't know, the reason Graham is traveling is we have 3 shows in Europe coming up, and hopefully you will be at one if you are in the Europes. We have Stockholm, Berlin, and London, April 3rd, April 5th, and
October.
April 12th.
You just said April.
October. Wait, was I off by a little bit? Was I what?
You're just 6 months off. That's all. You're just 6 months completely off. Really?
God.
We need to get you,
I haven't had my coffee yet, so I think it's April.
I think we need to get you some turmeric. That's what I'm thinking we need to do, because that's why you're getting your months off.
People on turmeric often know what month it is. No.
I know what month it is, and I haven't slept in 2 days, so I can tell you that right now, Lee. Yes, we have shows October 3rd in Stockholm, October 5th in Berlin, and October 12th in London. Get your tickets, folks, right now. Come to a live show, because it'll be basically me getting made fun of for having an insane lifestyle, and then going into why the United States is a failed empire. I
certainly wouldn't call mine normal. I just don't reveal what's under my pillow to you. So.
That's what it is. I know, like I want to really see how you live, because I feel like I'm just a little more forthcoming. I think if I were to walk into your place, I go, oh, okay, this is
yep.
Like you've always kept like a thing of baby pudding in your jacket or something like that. Like, it just feels like you've always had something.
You don't travel with a tennis ball can filled with baby pudding?
If it was vegan baby pudding.
I'm pretty sure you're the weird one for that.
We should really stack up. on a spreadsheet our weird and see who's the weirder one, like who have like a poll. Here's all the crazy weird stuff Graham does. Here's all the crazy weird shit Lee does. Which one's more nuts? on a nutbag scale, Lee gets an 86 or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, let's do my segment for it. What yours? What do we want to do?
Let's do mine first because it's shorter and it'll be good to know like time wise where we're at afterwards.
Okay, because as someone put in the chat, sleep deprived Graham is hilarious. Yeah, I don't know that time is going to be in there's particular episode.
It's true, and I'm not exactly the keel on this ship, considering I'm calling it. I think it's April, but I'm not holding things together here.
We're one shy of 100 episodes, folks, and this is what we're bringing to you. Just don't know what day, what month.
And after 99 episodes, you can see how professional it's gotten. I mean, honestly, every detail is ironed out. I don't know if I'm mixing metaphors there, but even in my metaphor of how perfect we have things, every ripple of the waves is ironed out.
Oh God, I'm like, I don't do drugs, but I feel like this is what I would be like if I was on an edible. It'd be this just punchy, giggly.
Yeah.
If I was on an edible.
Yeah.
All
if
right.
you guys were looking for Graham on edibles for an episode, this is it. No, zero sleep and too much turmeric. He couldn't. The hotel mini bar place wasn't, the bar at the lobby wasn't open at the hour, so he's just eating turmeric with a spoon. That's his diet for today.
I'm on a 3-day turmeric bender, Lee. I don't even know what's going on. I've just been snorting flaxseed oil. I don't know what's going on. It's just like nuts for me.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll do this one first. Do you want to do funny voice?
I'm sorry, your name again? I'm gonna need your name again. I'm gonna need
if you could provide me with your name and where I am, that would be awesome.
And what's the purpose of this show? Like, what's it called? What is it about? Like, just give me a quick synopsis so I kind of know.
Like, welcome to episode 99 of Strip Poker.
It's government strip poker secrets, where everybody takes off an article of clothing for each operation. Episode 99, segment 1, Lee Camp.
See, I zeroed in on it. That's the turmeric just kicked in.
All right, so I thought, considering that we are ramping up our proxy war with Russia, and now Putin says that he's willing to nuclear bomb people as well, and he's not bluffing there either. So, you got oligarchs fucking all trying to murder each other. And of course, this means in the United States, you have more of this anti-Russia fervor than ever. And we do the whole nation state thing. Everybody in Russia's evil. Even the people protesting against Putin are evil. And the fucking baby Russians are so evil. And we do that shit. So I thought it'd be a good time to talk about the Russian who fucking saves the world. And not only did he save the world, but this is admitted by like Western media, like the Guardian and Western, like US government agencies have admitted this guy saved the world. So I think even though there's been, so I'm going to be quoting from a Guardian article, even though there's been some mainstream media coverage, this is not really taught in our, high school history curricula.
And again, it's one of those things that, well, let's also, we forgot to mention, I just found this out, Edward Snowden just received, he's a full citizen in Russia now, and has 2 kids. He revealed that.
And I love that as a fuck you to the United States. Putin was just like, oh yeah, well now Snowden's a citizen. Huh?
Yeah. Your biggest whistleblower, he's a citizen. You're a basketball player with CBD oil,
right. We're locking her up. Yeah,
she's going to jail for the rest of her life.
She had over the limit of turmeric, so we're locking her away. Yeah.
Oh my God, Putin would arrest me 10 times over for all of this hippie stuff that I had here. He'd be like, but based on this show, he'd probably like go, no, we're making Graham the president of show business in Russia.
Graham is traditional Russian president of show business. Yes.
He will lead the turmeric hour of comedy every night at 9 o'clock.
If anyone wants to Photoshop shirtless Graham on a horse sitting behind shirtless Putin, I'm sure that would be very popular. That T-shirt would sell.
Please put that on the internet. I need to see that. Come on, internet. Don't let us down. Put a shirtless me on that same horse with Putin shirtless. I need the internet to do what it's supposed to do. Internet. This is when you're supposed to really show up, internet.
If that photo gets out there, people will be like, I'm not sure if this is making fun of Graham. Are people laughing with Graham or against Graham here?
Did Graham make that, or is he mad at this photo? I can't decide. That would absolutely be my new profile picture. Would be that for sure. Would be me shirtless on a horse with Putin shirtless on a horse. Oh God.
All right, so I take you back to a simpler time. This was the middle of the Cuban Missile Crisis. We've certainly talked about that a bit on this show. It was Cuban Missile Crisis was 35 days long of basically two nuclear powers being at each other's throats with the finger resting over the red button. They'd sit there with the finger over the red button, and when someone had to leave to go to the bathroom, someone else would stand with the finger over the red button. And it was incredibly tense as to whether there would be a nuclear exchange, at which time it would likely kill most everybody. Sure, there'd be a couple of people in a bunker somewhere with nunchucks who would get through it, but for the most part, it would kill everybody.
I'm so glad that us as a nation and as a species, just the human race, that we've really evolved past that point, and we're not staring down the face of completely annihilating the human race and every living thing on planet Earth. I'm so glad
we've evolved past that, and we would never ship $50 billion of weapons to Nazis on Russia's border. We wouldn't do that anymore.
Actually, Lee, you're lying. It's 70 billion.
Oh, yep. Sorry about that. Fake news.
That was last month's numbers, buddy. You got to get up to speed here.
I got to update the numbers. Also, I don't even know that 70 billion is enough, because apparently there's like 8 or 10 billion of transfers where they just take, because we're so-called ending our war in Afghanistan. So they take those and they just ship them to Ukraine, and they don't even have to get that through Congress. Not that Congress ever says no to any of this, but they just quietly ship that over to Ukraine.
Oh yeah, we're probably already at 120 billion, just if you count all of that. Or I'd like to know what the number is total since 2014, when we pushed them into the first Civil War.
I wonder if they ever mix up the shipments with all these weapons, and fucking anti-aircraft missiles go to Flint, Michigan, and clean water goes to Nazis in Ukraine. Do you think that ever happens?
No, because they would never give a damn about clean water for anybody.
Right.
No. I think the shipments that they mess up are just probably those, foam number 1 hands for the Army Navy game. Those go to Flint, Michigan, and then.
And there's just, you've seen the video of the kids in Flint trying to drink the foam number 1 hands. It's really kind of sad.
Yeah, and then, well, honestly though, it's really good. We've already sent all this money to Mississippi, and we're basically Mississippi's water's fixed now, so that's really comforting.
Yep. It's back to what they call sub-brown. This is just short of brown. They go by, it's a color rating actually with the water in Mississippi. They don't go by clean or not clean or drinkable. There's brown, there's tan, there's fiery red.
There's beige.
Yeah.
They basically just hold up a color palette and say, what earth tone is your water?
And the DC Metro had a slogan that I used to make fun of, where they put up posters that said DC Metro back to good. Which it's really shooting for the stars there. And I could see Mississippi, like politicians running for, like the Democratic politicians in Mississippi running for office, being like, back to beige. We'll get you back to lighter brown.
It's like that sign above the Notre Dame football locker room that they all tap before they run in the field says, play like a champion today. It's just like, play like a 500 club. Play like a club that's just playing okay.
Show them what mediocre looks like.
Shoot for a tie. Just that's everybody high fives that as they run out on the field.
So, Cuban Missile Crisis, both countries, at the cusp of nuclear war. And in the middle of this, actually just 10 days into it, October 27, 1962, Vasily Alexandrovich Arkhipov was on board the Soviet submarine B-59 near Cuba. Now, obviously, Cuba was in alignment with the Soviet Union, so that's why the Soviet sub was there. The U.S. government very much did not like a partnership between Cuba and the Soviet Union. So they were near Cuba, in the waters off Cuba, when the U.S. forces discovered them and began dropping non-lethal depth charges. So these basically look like bombs, but they're not meant to sink the sub. Now, they say the action was designed to encourage, I love that word, encourage the Soviet submarine to surface. So we're gonna throw small blasts at you to encourage you to come. It's kind of like if you have a teenage son who won't stop playing video games in the basement, you just drop some flashbang grenades down there.
Yeah, that'll get him out of the place.
Get him out.
Just shoot shotgun shells near where he's playing. Not that I'm not shooting it right at him. I'm not a monster, but just close enough to get him to put the gaming system down and come up into his chores.
Just grazing him. Just grazing him.
Little rock salt right in the like a little.
So we dropped the depth charges. Now, the crew of the B-59 had been incommunicado and with Russia, but obviously with the U.S. as well. And so they were unaware of the intention. So they had no clue. Like, Russia wasn't telling them what's going on. The U.S. couldn't reach them if they tried. So this submarine has no idea what's going on, except that explosions are going off by them. They thought they were witnessing, apparently on board, many of them thought they were witnessing the beginning of the Third World War. Now, again, keep in mind, this is in the days, this is a Cuban Missile Crisis when many people thought we were about to see the spark off of the Third World War. And it was going to involve nuclear weapons.
And there's so many instances, and we've covered a couple on the show, but this is a new one, where also you got to realize, it's just some sailor, some soldier, some 25-year-old or whatever that literally could just go, I guess we're under fire, beep, and then it's over. And that's like again, think about it, you're on a sub, boom, boom, boom. You think, well, maybe this is it. So our instructions are to just let it launch if we think we're going to die.
And I think a lot of people think that there's a whole chain of command with the Pentagon and the president deciding when nuclear weapons go off. And that would be true maybe for a first strike, but there are many, and I don't know how they stand today, but we at least have learned how it was in the 60s and 70s. And there were many scenarios where nuclear bombs could go off simply by other things that had happened, even without the command of the president or anything. Because the U.S. and Russia feared that if someone were to fire a nuclear weapon at us, that, we wouldn't have time to go consult, president's taking a shit, whatever, and you can't get to him, and you can't, it takes too long to brief him. So they would just put in place all these like, oh yeah, well, if an explosion goes off, just fucking fire him. It just goes.
Yeah.
And the one we covered recently was the bomb that the plane crashed in North Carolina in the 60s. It had 2 thermonuclear bombs on it, like 1,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima. And there were 6 steps that had to happen for those bombs to automatically go off. And all but one of them had happened. Meaning the bombs that crashed in North Carolina very nearly just exploded themselves in North Carolina, which my point is like, shouldn't there be some sort of fucking code that you have to type in? Like, even if the code's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fucking mountain that they crashed into is not going to type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
like we were one fail safe away from like, hey guys, quick update. There's 49 states. North Carolina's wiped off the map. So we're just going to take this 1 star off of all the flags. Like, I mean, literally we could have just like...
That's the fucking saddest moment of it all. So the guy who's got to come and quietly rip the 1 star.
Look, to make an omelet,
just like that's the brain trust that runs this country.
Oh God. So they're on the submarine, deep underwater. They think they're being attacked. They think they're witnessing the beginning of the Third World War. They're also trapped in a sweltering submarine because the air conditioning was no longer working. So, which makes your brain short circuit on top of everything else. So most of the crew feared this is the end. We're on the front lines and this is it. But unknown to U.S. forces, they had a weapon in their arsenal that the U.S. didn't realize, a 10-kiloton nuclear torpedo. So the U.S. is firing fucking depth charges at a nuclear torpedo and doesn't know it. And what's more, the article says the officers had permission to launch it without waiting for approval from Moscow. So fucking officers on a submarine have permission to fire a nuclear torpedo at us. And this is where you end up when you fucking don't have arms treaties. When you don't have to even if we, the United States, and by the way, we're the worst, right? But even if we were really responsible with our nuclear weapons, all you need is the fucking other country to not be so responsible, and it all pops off, right?
One mistake. One. And we've had all of these near misses. Like, we're lucky we're alive. I mean, we're literally like, we've given a 12-year-old an AR-15 and said, you better be safe, and let them just run around and they're just on their skateboard while they're texting. It's not only like, oh, gee, this is what happens when you don't have. And I remember seeing an interview with Putin in 2018 or 2019 that they did not air on American media, where he said, this arms treaty is about to expire. This is scary. This is dangerous,
Yep.
And he even said, like, the young people today are very worried about the environment, as well they should be. So he acknowledges climate collapse, but he's like, if these 2 superpowers, Russia and the US, don't do something about this expiring treaty, this is not good. So it's like, not only should we have all these treaties in place, but it's like what Smedley Butler said, 100 years ago, which is like, we need disarmament. We don't need to build any more nukes. Like, when there's these super nukes out there, these 10-kiloton things that can blow up and then throw us in a nuclear winter. Even just one detonation could put us in a nuclear winter, and then for 5 years, in roughly 5 years, then it's all over. Then after that 5 years of the nuclear winter, then there will be no more life on Earth. Like one. There's no reason for us to have more. And you got more of these psychos.
We've got like 6,000 nuclear bombs or something insane, which is enough to destroy the Earth fucking 20 times over or whatever.
It's madness. This country is an insane asylum.
So these officers have permission to launch without hearing from Moscow, and they're incommunicado. They don't know what Moscow thinks of the situation. 2 of the vessel's senior officers, including the captain, Valentin Savitsky, wanted to launch the missile. So 2 senior officers have said, fucking do it now, launch. According to a report from the U.S. National Security Archive, Savitsky exclaimed, we're going to blast them now. We will die, but we will sink them all. we will not become the shame of the fleet. So, you know, the idea of like mutually guaranteed destruction. So that's why there's so-called peace. I mean, there's not. There's a proxy war we've helped create in Ukraine, etc. But close to peace or whatever, they go, oh, it's mutually assured destruction. It's like, well, as you can see, these fucking officers were like, yeah, we are going to die. We will be destructed, but we're going to take them down with us. Like,
and that's why these are so dangerous. Because again, it can come down to just one person going, all right, you know, I don't want to be the embarrassment of the fleet or whatever. Or like, this is my final, like, I'm going to be a hero for doing this, or if my family's dying, so is yours, or something. I mean, if I was on a submarine and I thought I was going to die, I'd be like, yeah, detonate it, go.
Yeah, you're being attacked and you think you're going to save Russia or something by responding. Yeah, I mean, who knows? But so luckily, Russia did have one protocol that altered the calculation a little. All three senior officers on board had to agree to deploy the weapon. As a result, the situation in the control room played out very differently. Arkhipov refused to sanction the launch of the weapon and calmed the captain down. And therefore, the torpedo was never fired. Now, imagine that situation. You're under attack. You think real charges are being fired at you. And you've got two senior officers saying it's time to launch. And you're the last yes. And you have to decide to look them in the face and say, no, I'd rather just die here and not set off this weapon. But so he talked them down and they didn't fire the torpedo. Had it been launched, the fate of the world would have been very different. The attack would probably have started a nuclear war, which would have caused global devastation with unimaginable number of civilian deaths. And obviously could have created a nuclear winter, in which case all the crops die, etc. The lesson from this is that a guy named Vasily Arkhipov saved the world, says Thomas Blanton, director of the National Security Archive at George Washington University. Beatrice Finn, executive director of the Nobel Peace Prize winning, by the way, that doesn't mean anything because Nobel Peace Prize is fucking given to war criminals. But anyway, Nobel Peace Prize organization, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, said Arkhipov's actions were a reminder of how the world had teetered on the brink of disaster. Arkhipov's story shows how close to nuclear catastrophe we have been in the past, but never will be again, right?
Don't we have a photo of him?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and why, again, it's one of those things. Why isn't this guy studied in American schools? You know, like,
well, for an obvious reason, because you cannot glorify a single Russian. Doesn't matter if they're long dead. Doesn't matter if it's a time from years ago. God forbid someone be held up as you know, a hero or something who isn't an American and in fact is in a quote unquote enemy country.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I guess it's, you know, I wonder if this guy or anybody else somebody in the chat just put Hunt for Red October, which is sort of
probably was based on this story, actually.
Right. It goes to that Sting song that was in
is that Red October? Isn't there another one where they're going to launch the missile and someone has to stand up to Denzel Washington, or Denzel Washington has to stand up to someone or something? Anyway.
Well, that's the American version. Yeah, that's Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington, where basically Denzel Washington in a fictional thing does what this Russian guy actually did.
Right. So we basically made him American. Crimson Tide. Yeah.
Crimson Tide. Yeah. Crimson Tide.
We were like, that's a good story. We'll make him American and then we can celebrate him.
Yeah. It's yeah. And it really, you know, and what Denzel Washington does in that thing is are we really sure? Because once we launch this, there's no going back. We better be absolutely sure. We can't let's hope we get it right. We got a 95% chance. Like that's how disastrous this is. And yet, we're still going headlong into this. It's amazing to me. that we're still like on the brink of World War III now more than ever, perhaps.
Yeah, and we're yanking more countries into NATO, which just makes it worse. Sweden and Finland, etc. And it's like we're just making it more insane. I mean, World War I was almost entirely based on just spiraling allegiances that it didn't need to happen.
Yeah, and now you've got, a fascist who loves Mussolini just got elected to Italy.
Italy, yeah.
And didn't some right-wing government in Sweden just get elected, or somebody like?
Yeah, they're not they're borderline Nazis, but they don't have the most seats in parliament, but because they're going to have a cooperative government, whatever it's called, with the other right-wing party, they will be running the government. Yeah.
God, it's like the 1920s and 30s all over again. All these neoliberal policies that just really eviscerate working class people and give all the money to a handful of elites, and liberals sign off of it. It's really crazy. Like, I was just in New York and was hanging out with a very good friend of mine, very smart guy. And I was telling him about this show and what we're doing. And I've said, you were on RT America, and then that got shut down, which is censorship. And he was like, I don't know, we should talk about this if we just don't agree. I said, so you think it's okay? You think it's okay for the government to make a decision on what, like, I don't need the government to tell me I should be able to watch RT, Press TV, Al Jazeera, Fox. He goes, well, Fox is awful. I said, so you're okay if they censored Fox? He goes, yeah. I guess so. Some censorship's okay. So you can't make this decision yourself,
right?
And I brought up the Azov Brigade in the Ukraine 2 different times, and both times he just kind of didn't even acknowledge it, which is the thing I'm noticing, and I'm seeing this on social media.
People just shut down when they're given the facts. It's kind of crazy.
They just breeze past it. It's like, so if you're so afraid of fascism, why are we then giving money to overt Nazis with Nazi tattoos and all? Like, they're Nazis. Yeah. They praise Hitler. We're giving them money. And like
Jon Stewart is giving them gold medals at the Disney event.
It's madness to me. And liberals just like, they almost like they don't even hear it. They just go, it's just Putin. That's propaganda. I go, yeah, but so is MSNBC's propaganda. And when I wasn't arguing, I didn't raise my voice. I just said, but listen to these facts. I go, but MSNBC puts propaganda out there too. Should we shut them down? And he's like, we should just not talk about this. I was like, wow. So just confronted with facts and information, not my opinion even. I mean, part of this is my opinion, but it's just nope.
And the other funny thing is the idea of like, well, it's propaganda. Yeah, MSNBC's propaganda too. And it's like, well, that may be true for some RT shows or RT news, but I can tell you, I fucking did my show for 8 years, over 1,000 episodes, and never was told what to say. I wrote every word myself, never was told anything had to be said, didn't need to be said, couldn't be said, never had any pressure put on me. Right. It was complete and utter freedom, which does not exist on American television.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny when people are like, well, yeah, okay, maybe there's both propaganda, but that's their propaganda. We don't want their propaganda here. It's like, no, it was actually uncensored. That was the problem. That was what the U.S. government couldn't handle, is that there were uncensored shows on there.
I know, that's the other thing too. I'm like, are you trying to tell me Boom Bust and On Contact were all just this Russian propaganda?
Yeah. Chris Hedges was he was taking text messages from Putin telling him what to say.
Yeah, you're trying to tell me Max Kaiser was like on a leash from Putin? Like, and people say that, I go, so you've never watched RT? You didn't watch any of the shows on RT at all?
Right. They just go, but it was propaganda. Yeah. End of story.
I'm just like, so and I even said to my friend, I go, so even when I saw Rachel Maddow do a segment talking about how evil Russia was after the 2016 election, it was literally sponsored by Boeing. You don't think that's a problem? And he just kind of went, really? So I was like, I know he's not even paying attention. He's not even, and this is somebody who's a highly intelligent guy who has a master's degree, but just doesn't want to hear it. Doesn't want to hear it.
No, members of my own family who are highly intelligent, they get upset when it's talked about, and they and they do the craziest mental gymnastics to try and turn it around, And
I'm just like, how are they any different than the crazy Trump supporter? That's just, not every Trump supporter is not. Some of them just voted for him as the lesser of two evils. But I mean, the diehard ones.
A lot of people were just misled by Trump.
Yeah, they were misled by Trump, just like we all were misled by Obama, Biden, Bush. We're always misled, whoever wins. But how come? How are they any different? I'm just like, how are you any different than the person that just says, no, Trump never lies? They sound crazy when they say that, right? Well, how do you say when I say, well, Obama dropped more bombs than Bush? How come that was never talked about? How come the media isn't covering like the wedding we bombed in Baghdad, or the 377,000 dead people in Yemen? How come they're not covering that the exact same way they're covering what's happening in Ukraine? Doesn't that bother you? Let's just not talk about it. Okay, man. Yeah. You're living in just as in the same abject denial as the Trump supporter.
Yeah. And with some of these people, like if they're my family and I actually want to keep a relationship with them, then that's the only scenario where I'm like, all right, I guess we're not talking about it because I kind of want to keep a relationship with you. But with other people, if they're like that, I'm just like, well, I guess this is the end of our friendship.
Yeah, I know. There's some people you just got to go, yeah. Because at a certain point, it's like, yeah, I like this friendship. I like hanging out with you. But man, this is a tough area to respect, that you're that woefully, you're deliberately putting your head in the sand on these issues and then claiming to be woke and smarter than the dumb red state person. And I'm just like, how? I don't see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fucking insanity, man. Shall we do segment number 2?
Yes, segment number 2, episode 99 of Government Secrets. Graham's fucking fever dream or whatever.
Oh man, crazy voice guy sounded tired in that one.
Yeah, crazy voice guy
was like, kapow, kapow, kapow. Ah.
I think we might do another segment unless Graham falls asleep in the middle of it.
Well, just give us the cliff notes, Graham.
So I felt like, since I'm in Portugal, which at one time had an amazing navy, and they colonized places like Brazil, I want to just go through this article I found about a bunch of Navy mistakes and how insane they are. So there was a series of Navy of collisions involving U.S. Navy destroyers in 2016 and 2017, including 2 incidents in that summer that left 16 sailors dead.
Wait, in 2016?
Yeah.
Jesus, this is recent.
Yes.
Dude, the amount of... Here's the thing. Whenever you hear boats ran into each other and sank and shit in like the early 1900s, you're like, all right, well, they were navigating by like, which direction the fireflies were going and shit like that. So you're like, yeah, all right. But now the amount of technology nowadays to still run into fucking other boats and shit. It's like, aren't there all kinds of like alarms and robotic voices going back off? Like, how do you fuck that up?
I know. You guys have radar, sonar, satellite tracking, like, not to mention probably a bunch of guys above deck going, we're getting close to there's another one. There's another.
Then there's the humans going, it's a boat. And then there's the fucking Knight Rider voice going, you're going to hit that guy in T-minus 5 hours. Like,
just those guys with binoculars going, hey, skipper, I want to give you a little heads up here. We're going headlong into another giant boat. So this article then goes into, there were it's no less than 3 catastrophic fires on U.S. aircraft carriers between 1966 and 69 that killed more than 200 sailors before major reform. So what this article is trying to say is the Navy has to make a bunch of crazy mistakes where people needlessly die, and then they eventually figure it out. So,
right. Well, anyone in our military is cannon fodder. So, you know, their deaths don't really matter to the military elite.
So going back, so the fires, the 3 fires that killed more than 200 sailors between 66 and 69 were triggered by rocket munitions. In 1966, a magnesium flare tossed into an ammunition locker.
I'm guessing that almost all of these were done as pranks by fucking douchebags. Just like, hey, you know, it'd be funny if we throw a magnesium flare into Jimmy's locker.
Yeah, it's probably that, but also like, we're going to put all this flammable shit on a boat. Like, we're going to put every, it's just
with 18-year-old dickheads. We're going to mix flammable shit and 18-year-old douchebags and see what happens. And we're not going to let them have sex for months on end.
There won't be any pent up anger. They won't be just looking to blow something up because they can't get laid.
No, not at all.
It's so like in regular life, if it was like, I remember they said this years ago, like you don't keep a gas can in the trunk of your car. Like you're already driving a bomb. Anyway, so the magnesium flare tossed into an ammunition locker caused rockets to detonate on board the USS Oriskany, killing 44. Then in 1967,
you should have seen your faces when it happened. Dude, worth it. # worth it.
I just got a Dear John letter, so I'm going to blow up your ship. It's
right.
Then a Zuni rocket mounted on a freighter on board the USS Forrestal accidentally launched due to a power surge. So then again,
that's all it takes. No need to push a second button. Just a power surge, rockets fire.
Nope. Just, did the lights flicker? Yeah. So did that rocket. just shoots off. That's comforting.
I think they call that a premature ejaculation.
So that the power surge launched a rocket that went into the side of an A-4 attack jet. This then began a chain reaction of detonating bombs and jet fuel that threatened to consume the conventionally powered supercarrier. So again, we have just a bunch of bombs and jet fuel all together. And this happened while the crew was undergoing the stress of launching a dozen jet aircraft into combat over Vietnam. So the third one was the USS Enterprise, which was in Pearl Harbor in Hawaii in January 69.
Wait, that one's Star Trek, right?
That is Star Trek. That's absolutely Star Trek.
Yeah.
At that point, the Enterprise was being escorted by the USS Rogers and missile cruiser USS Bainbridge, and they were undergoing flight drills in preparation for another deployment to Vietnam when the carrier began launching a mix of F-4J Phantom fighters, A-6, A-7 attack planes, and E-2 and Ka-3 support aircraft. By 8:15 a.m., there were a total of 15 aircraft prepping for launch on the flight deck, which means they're heavily armed and they're fully gassed up. This included the Phantom Fighter 405, which was loaded with 6 500-pound Mark 82 bombs and 2 Lao 10 rocket launching pods, each containing 4 unguided 5-inch Zuni rockets. As usual, an MD-3A Huffer, a tractor mobile heating unit used to warm up jet engines, was positioned on the starboard side of the fighter, ready to prepare it for takeoff. However, several crewmen noticed that the exhaust from the Huffer was gusting into one of the Phantom's rocket pods only 2 feet away. At that distance, the heat would have amounted to more than 320 degrees while Fahrenheit. So they've got a thing that is simulating, that's creating 320 degrees Fahrenheit next to a fuel truck and a aircraft that is loaded with 500 pounds of bombs.
And let me guess, this fuel truck has a little image on the side of like a guy smoking with a little cross through it, like a circle and an X.
Yeah, try to smoke a little farther. And this is the 60s, I'm sure, but everyone's just smoking, right? So this is the other great part. This is when the people in charge are so smart. The crew were not trained to know the cook-off temperature of the weapons they were handling. But several mentioned their concern to a nearby ordnance chief and other personnel. However, they were preoccupied with fusing bombs in time for launch or couldn't hear what was being said over the noise of a nearby jet engine. Despite 4 different surviving crew members admitting afterwards they were aware of the unsafe positioning of the Huffer, nobody acted on the situation at the time.
Well, honestly, in the military, that's what you're trained to do. Do not question. Do not be the one guy who's like, I think this is fucked up. Like, you're supposed to do the opposite.
Yeah. It's just like, are we sure you're supposed is having that plugged in toaster next to the bathtub a good idea? Just shut up and do your job, sailor. Like, okay, So at 8:15, the exhaust heat triggered the 15-pound warhead of one of the Zuni rockets. The resulting blast ruptured the Phantom's fuel tank, which poured burning JP-5 jet fuel onto the deck, catching 3 more Phantoms on fire. So now a total of 4 jets loaded with weaponry.
Good.
Amongst the first victims of the conflagration were the 2 operators of the Huffer unit and the F-4 pilot. A horrible chain reaction unfolded similar to that which occurred on the USS Forrestal. The devastation had just begun. The growing blaze then caused a 500-pound bomb mounted on the Phantom to detonate.
Oh, Jesus.
Gouging an 8-foot diameter hole in the deck, setting off secondary fires 3 decks below. They even wrote a book on this called Enterprise. And this is what the crew
and it actually sold really well because everyone thought it was a Star Trek book.
Yeah, they're like, oh, which one's Spock?
Dude, this one was darker than most of the Enterprise books. This one, like a bunch of sailors die. It's pretty weird.
They didn't beam down anywhere. They just blew up their own boat. It was weird.
No one has sex with like a green woman. Like, it's really disappointing.
Bones didn't have an antidote. It was weird. This is the quote recalled by one of the crewmen. Everyone was stunned by the explosion and shrapnel that hit all around the island. Both twin engine units full of flame retardant foam were knocked out. Hoses flopped around wildly, geysering spumes of foam and salt water. Men were on fire. The wounded moved feebly. The dead were still. Like,
it's good to hear the dead were still. I mean, that is one positive that came out of this.
Yeah. It killed 28.
You don't want dead walking around.
No. You want them.
You want them still.
Still. 28 died, 314 injured. This was lower than and a similar thing happened to the two ships that were going alongside of it. It was, yeah.
Do we have an image if you want to show it?
Oops. There it is.
By the way, I was saying I think this should be the U.S. Navy postage stamp image.
So after these 3 horrific things where all these people died, that's when the Navy was confronted with major deficiencies with its safety culture. You think?
I think that's called an unsafety culture, an unsafe culture.
It's an unsafe culture. So they implement serious reforms, upgrading the equipment, including the installation of flight deck washdown systems and employing more stable munitions.
Guys, no more huffing by the bombs. No more huffing by the bombs. We've said it once. We'll say it again.
It's so insane. Like, this is the Navy's approach. Put a bunch of dangerous shit together and we'll just be fine. If a bunch of guys die, eventually we'll go, gee, maybe we should do something about that. So
yeah, I mean, for the ruling elite, the real goal is to just have like all of our warheads out and ready to go. It's not really about whether it's safe or not.
No, not at all. There's no concern for the enlisted men. They don't care about the enlisted soldiers or sailors or Marines at all. They don't care about them at all. I mean, this is such a prime example. So this article just lists the two incidents that happened in 2016 and 2017, and then talks about the history. So I have no idea if anything was implemented safety-wise to prevent what happened in 2016 or 2017. So recently, to change that at all. They're just like, so this is basically what this article is saying is this is how many people have to die before the Navy's going to do anything. So I think the accidents of 16 and 17 I don't think there's been enough death yet to justify the Navy to go, hey, maybe we should stop playing bumper cars with the boats in the harbor in Chesapeake Bay or wherever the fuck they had this happen. So this is
yeah. There's got to be a lot of death for them to think it matters. And
the point that we were talking about earlier and with your segment is now we have a lot of U.S. naval warships have nuclear weapons on them. So imagine, and this is in essence what we're doing, only now it won't blow up a submarine, a ship and kill or injure people. It could just like boom, detonate, and again, nuclear winter, and we're all dead in 5 years. Like that's now what we're doing. So I'd be curious to know that this article didn't cover these ships in 2016 and 2017. Did they have atomic weapons on them? Did that almost happen? I mean,
right. And what are the precautions to stop one rogue idiot officer from setting something off? Yeah.
Or just this. I mean, they have a history of just storing, oily rags next to the fireplace, like, and let's put the Christmas tree right next to that. Like, it's just unreal. We don't know how this fire happened. Yeah, I do. I know how it happened. Like, it's just, we're going to put these sticks of dynamite next to the stove, so. Yeah, I wanted to show.
Well, and it's not surprising this happens more on ships, because when you have battleships like that, you're trying to cram everything into a small area,
right?
And you don't care whether it's safe or not. It's like, how do we get 52 jets all with massive bombs, and then extra massive bombs, and then extra artillery, and then all the housing units for all these men? How do we get them all on a ship that's yay big? And maybe they'll end up setting each other off, but who knows?
Yeah, they don't care about safety or comfort. It's just like pack it full of as much death and war as we can possibly jam onto this boat, and just good luck, guys. Via con Dios. Just they just play "Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me" as this like death ship just goes out in the harbor.
But we did mention, I think last week, that they did name one ship recently after Harvey Milk, the gay, political leader who. So I think that is a big step.
That'll fix it. I mean, that's the kind of Band-Aid, the kind of bumper sticker, change that we need. It's just like.
Yeah. They're like, we're still allying with countries where they execute people for being gay, but we're going to name this Navy ship after RuPaul.
Yeah. It's so that's Government Secrets episode 99, where we talk about all the stuff somebody in the chat's like, oh, you guys forgot to talk about the forced labor camps the Soviets did. No, we don't. We can talk about that. We're not hiding that. We're saying what America has done is a lot very bad, and America, and we're not told.
Yeah, and what we do, which is also what I do in most of my other videos, is we cover the things that aren't being covered. So it's like, do you really need tiny independent media to cover the shit that CNN's covering about how Russia's evil? Like, so it's like, I always thought that when people are like, why didn't you talk about how Stalin killed people? And it's like, I think you did get that in history class. Like, we're covering the stuff you didn't get in history class.
Yeah, exactly. I was taught that. I was taught what Stalin did in history class. I didn't learn that. I didn't know that the Russians lost 20 million people, and I haven't been taught all of these awful things that America has done. That's such a lazy argument of like, this is the public knowledge. So there's no reason for us to talk about public knowledge. Like, I'm not going to talk about, did you know America had a civil war? Yeah, we all know it had a civil war. Let's find out the real reasons behind it. Let's find out the money behind it. Let's find out all the things that we're not being told. That's what this show's for. So, and if you like that, folks, come see us live in Europe. We're in Stockholm, October 3rd, Berlin, October 5th, and London, October 12th. Go to leecamp.com or grahamelwood.com for tour dates, for tickets.
And it is highly likely, assuming technology cooperates, that the London show at least will be available on our Patreon for members. So if you are upset and you're missing these amazing live shows that are going to be epic, because epic is overused in our language. If you're upset you're going to miss those, then become a member at patreon.com/government secrets, which is also where we're about to go to do an extra segment, assuming Graham can stay awake. We're going to talk about some things you didn't know about Henry Ford. We're going to talk about a little bit about the anniversary of the Philippine-American War. We got stuff coming up. So patreon.com/government secrets.
Yes, and I've got tour dates the rest of October as well. When I come back from Europe, I'm in New York City, October 18th, Madison, Wisconsin, October 20th, Detroit, October 21st, Cincinnati, October 22nd, and then I'm in Sweet Home, Chicago, taping my first ever comedy special, October 26th. All those are at grahamelwood.com. And of course, go join us at patreon.com/government secrets. Where you will get some bonus stuff, and you'll get, we're going to record all, like Lee said, the other live shows in Europe. So you'll get those as well.
And I saw a couple, we'll wrap up here, but I saw a couple of people asking what I'm doing now that the RT show Redacted Tonight is over. I have a new show called The Most Censored News, and I could give all these links about where everything is, but really just right there on the screen, leecamp.net. Or you can also check out leecamp.com, but all my shit's there. So I won't go into everything else, but yeah, I'm doing plenty. Videos coming out every day. So
right on, everybody. This has been
Government Secrets episode 99, the Graham Elwood psychotic break episode, fever dream,
sleep deprivation.
Tomorrow, Graham will ask, did we do a show or did I have a crazy dream?
I had a dream that I was in a weird hotel room doing a show with you, and I started giggling uncontrollably, and I don't know what happened. I was drinking Portuguese Pepsi Zero. Is that true? Did that happen?
And all I know is that when I woke up in the morning, 7 pounds of protein powder was gone, and I'm a little worried.
I'm traveling with 50 pounds of vegan supplements.
Graham, if you learn anything from today's show, we love you for who you are. You don't have to supplement.
My supplements love me no matter what, Lee. They don't judge me. They tell me I'm pretty.
All right, man. See you at Patreon.
All right, guys. We'll see you over there. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Holly. Oh, somebody ought to tell Chucky Cease to stop putting right-wing propaganda about China and Russia. He's a right-winger. You saw him on Rumble. Yeah, of course. Wake up, friend. You've been lied to. Thanks, Holly, and thank you everybody over on Rockfin. MHC, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. So basically, flat Earth, aliens, and Bigfoot. Yeah, that's government secrets. The Forrestal is a ship that John McCain was stationed on at 67 when the rocket incident happened. Wow. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody over there. Thanks for all of the likes. Leftover beefcake, MHC. Thank you all. I appreciate it. And thank you, Backyard Politics. I know she had to run. All right, guys, we'll see you over at, you can see right there, join Patreon right now for a bonus government secret. Thank you for watching and listening. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, do all that stuff, and come to a live show if you can. It'd be great to see you out on the road. Ciao, ciao.